Level 1. The birth in the Oort Cloud. Far beyond Pluto, a trillion icy fragments drift in silence. This is the Oort Cloud, a vast invisible sphere of frozen debris that marks the true edge of the sun's dominion. Here, sunlight is so weak it's indistinguishable from starlight. Every particle glitters faintly, illuminated by a distant fire that barely warms the emptiness. A comet begins here as nothing more than a speck, a dirty snowball of frozen gases, dust, and rock. Its ice is ancient, older than Earth itself, a remnant of the solar system's birth. The molecules inside it have not moved for billions of years. In this place, time itself feels frozen. You would feel nothing here. No warmth, no air, no sound. The temperature hovers near absolute zero, around minus 270 degrees Celsius. If you reached out, your hand would shatter before you could even feel the cold. Only the faint pressure of cosmic rays and the gravitational whisper of the sun exist. The silence is absolute, and yet stillness is not eternity. All it takes is a tiny disruption, the passing gravity of a distant star, or the slow pull of Jupiter's orbit far inside. A delicate chain reaction begins. A single ice rock is nudged from its slumber, falling inward toward the faint glimmer of the sun. That fall marks the start of a journey spanning millions of years. It is a voyage from darkness to fire, from frozen emptiness to incandescent light. And so, the quietest place in the cosmos stirs to life. Level 2. The long fall. The comet drifts closer, pulled by the sun's relentless gravity. For thousands of years, it moves through the outermost reaches of the solar system, a slow, cold descent through a darkness so deep it feels infinite. The stars seem fixed, yet the comet inches forward, its path carved by forces invisible but irresistible. At first, nothing changes. The surface remains as black as soot, coated with dust older than the planets themselves. But beneath that crust, pressure begins to mount. Trapped gases shift. Crystals of frozen carbon dioxide, methane, and water rearrange at the molecular level. Energy builds quietly, waiting. If you could follow alongside, the view would evolve so slowly it would seem eternal. The sun, once a pinprick of light, grows sharper, more defined. Centuries pass. The faint warmth of sunlight begins to caress the comet's surface, though it is still hundreds of millions of kilometers away. Slowly, imperceptibly, the comet transforms from an inert rock into a sleeping giant ready to awaken. You would see the stars brighten, the black void giving way to the faint glow of distant planets. The cold is still absolute, yet change has begun, a heartbeat under ice. Even stranger is what comes next, the awakening. Level 3. The awakening. Crossing into the realm of the outer planets, the comet begins to stir. Here, at the distance of Neptune or Uranus, sunlight is still weak, a faint radiance 1,000 times dimmer than on Earth. Yet that faint light carries enough energy to reach the comet's surface, and something extraordinary begins. Frozen gases, carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, start to sublimate. They leap directly from solid to vapor, erupting through cracks in the crust. Invisible geysers hiss into the vacuum, forming plumes that twist like ghostly smoke. For the first time in eons, the comet breathes. If you stood on the surface, you would hear nothing. There is no air to carry sound, but you would feel it. The ground beneath your boots would tremble as pockets of vapor burst open, venting into space. Ice fragments would spin away into the void, forming halos of glittering frost. The comet would shimmer faintly against the black, trailing filaments of vaporized gas. With every eruption, Sunlight eats a little deeper. The crust fractures. The pressure of escaping gas pushes outward, and the comet begins to cloak itself in a thin atmosphere, the coma. What was once a dead fragment is now alive with motion and light. It grows a luminous shroud, invisible from afar, but immense up close. In this moment, the comet becomes a new kind of world, one that changes with every heartbeat of the sun. From silent stone, it becomes alive. Level 4, the coma. Now the comet is no longer invisible. Its coma, an expanding sphere of gas and dust, glows faintly in reflected sunlight, surrounding the nucleus like a living aura. What was once a lump of dirty ice now radiates with soft light, a mist stretching for tens of thousands of kilometers. Inside this veil, the environment is alien beyond comprehension. You would drift through a haze of cyanide, ammonia, and carbon monoxide, gases that shimmer faintly in the sunlight. From the outside, the coma looks ethereal, like the spirit of a dying star. But up close, it is a trap of poison and silence. If you floated within it, every breath would be fatal. The air would scald your lungs with chemical frost. The gas would suffocate you before your body even realized it was dying. The particles of dust would coat your visor in a silver haze, and the sun would appear diffused, a blurred halo behind a curtain of luminous fog. The coma expands continually as the comet draws closer to the sun. It can grow larger than Earth itself, a sphere of shimmering vapor millions of kilometers wide. Within that ghostly light, sunlight scatters in every direction, making the comet visible across the solar system. It is beautiful, deadly, and ephemeral, a fragile cocoon between the frozen past and the fiery future. And yet, the comet is still only preparing for its grandest transformation. Level 5, the first tail. As the comet drifts closer to the sun, the heat begins to transform it utterly. Solar radiation strikes its fragile coma, tearing apart molecules, pushing dust and gas outward into space. The coma, once spherical, starts to stream behind the nucleus, the birth of the comet's first tail. Always, the tail points away from the sun. No matter where the comet travels, the solar wind, a constant flow of charged particles from the sun, sculpts it backward like a cosmic flame. What began as a faint haze becomes a glowing trail stretching millions of kilometers across the void. From Earth, it would appear as a shimmering line of silver, curving across the night sky. But up close, it is immense beyond imagination. You could fit thousands of Earths end to end within its length. The dust particles within it are microscopic, yet together they scatter sunlight with blinding beauty. If you could move through it, you would never know you were inside. The gases are so diffuse that even in a cubic meter of space, there would be less matter than in a laboratory vacuum. Yet the few molecules that do exist are deadly: carbon monoxide, cyanide, ammonia, an invisible poison drifting in a corridor of light. Each day, the comet grows brighter. Its tail splits into two forms: the pale, curving dust tail and the straight, blue ion tail, glowing with charged gases pushed by the magnetic breath of the sun. The two tails stretch across millions of kilometers, shimmering like ribbons of smoke and sunlight. To look at it from afar is to see a bridge between ice and fire, between the frozen edge of the solar system and the heart of its light. But still, the comet falls inward. Level 6, the fiery descent. Now the comet hurtles past Mars, racing toward the inner solar system. Sunlight pours across its blackened crust, heating it to extremes never before endured. The nucleus rotates wildly, pockmarked with vents that erupt like volcanoes. Geysers of vapor burst outward at supersonic speed, forming columns hundreds of meters high. Each explosion carves new scars into the surface. Some jets erupt with such force that they alter the comet's spin, causing it to tumble unpredictably. To watch this from close range would be terrifying. Mountains of ice and dust collapsing, clouds of debris streaming off into the darkness. The comet is no longer just a body. It is an event. If you were standing there, you would feel the ground quiver with each eruption. The sunlight would grow sharp and harsh, casting long shadows across fields of ice. The surface temperature could leap from minus 150 degrees Celsius to above zero in seconds as sunlight sweeps across it, then plunge back into deadly cold as the comet spins. The contrast would be unbearable. Frozen silence broken by invisible violence. Jets of carbon dioxide blast into space, dragging trails of dust that glow against the sun. Each jet can expel thousands of kilograms of material per second. Slowly, the comet is hollowing itself out, peeling away its layers as it races toward the inferno ahead. It is chaos wrapped in light and ice, a world that exists only in transition, burning itself alive in its approach to the star that gave it birth. But ahead lies the true furnace, the sun itself. Level 7. The roaring sun. Now the comet enters the realm of Earth, and its brilliance reaches its peak. The coma blazes with sunlight, the twin tails stretching for millions of kilometers. To an observer on Earth, it may outshine every star, even Venus. It becomes a torch in the sky, a symbol of both beauty and doom. For the comet itself, this is agony. The heat is merciless. Temperatures surge beyond 1,500 degrees Celsius. The sun's ultraviolet radiation bombards its surface, stripping electrons from atoms, creating glowing plasma. Thousands of tons of ice evaporate every second, and the comet shrinks before your eyes. If you stood upon it now, you wouldn't last a heartbeat. Your suit would flash boil. Radiation would sear your eyes even through your visor. The light is so intense, it seems solid, pressing against you like heat made visible. Around you, the airless void sparkles with particles of gas, tiny fragments of the comet's life blown apart by the solar wind. To the naked eye from Earth, it is magnificent. To the comet, it is torment, a luminous disintegration, a creature being unmade by the very light that reveals its beauty. Every moment brings it closer to destruction. And yet, despite the fury, it endures. Its orbit tightens. It dives closer still, drawn by gravity and momentum that cannot be stopped. Ahead lies its destiny, the perilous swing around the sun, the moment of closest approach. The comet is burning alive, but it will not die quietly. And yet, it keeps falling. Level 8. The perihelion. At last, the comet reaches its perihelion, the closest point to the sun. Here, distances shrink to impossible scales. Some comets pass within 1,000,000 kilometers of the solar surface, a gap so small that the sun would fill half the sky. The light is unfiltered, blinding, and white-hot. Temperatures soar beyond 2,000 degrees Celsius. Every molecule of ice turns instantly to vapor. Even rock begins to fracture and melt. The comet's nucleus, once kilometers wide, begins to crumble. Cracks widen into canyons. Whole cliffs of ice shear away and vanish into glowing vapor trails. If you could stand here, and you couldn't, your body would vaporize in a flash. Radiation would disassemble your cells before the heat even reached you. The vacuum itself would seem to burn. Around you, the comet's gases fluoresce in solar radiation, glowing blue and gold, swirling into a halo brighter than 1,000 full moons. Many comets do not survive this moment. Some are torn apart by tidal forces, shredded into glowing fragments that spiral into the sun. Others vanish completely, consumed by heat and radiation. But a few endure, stripped to their core, battered, scarred, yet still intact. The comet that survives perihelion is transformed. Its path through the solar system will never be the same again. The encounter changes its orbit, sometimes by millions of kilometers. The fiery passage marks the beginning of its long retreat into the dark, a survivor of the solar furnace. From this moment on, its life is a countdown. Level 9. The return. Having survived the sun's furnace, the comet begins its long retreat. It swings wide, slingshotting back into the outer solar system. For a brief time, it still shines, a dim, fading beacon, trailing two vast tails that slowly unravel behind it. From Earth, observers watch as it grows fainter night by night, its brilliance dwindling to a mere speck. The once blazing torch now drifts back toward darkness, carrying scars from its near-death passage. On the surface, silence returns. The geysers that once roared now lie frozen again, sealed by layers of dust and carbon crust. The airless void closes in. Each kilometer traveled outward saps the comet's light, shrinking its coma, thinning its tail, until it vanishes into the deep once more. If you stood on it, the sky would grow darker with each passing hour. The sun would shrink again to a distant point of light, pale and cold. Your footsteps would echo silently in the dust, a landscape of jagged shadows, frozen geysers, and fractured cliffs left behind by the comet's violent journey. Yet the comet itself is forever changed. Each orbit strips away part of its body. Each close pass reshapes its surface, alters its course, and erodes its heart. Over millions of years, it may lose half its mass, its orbit shifting from elliptical to unstable. Some will return to the sun again and again, their lives measured in centuries. Others will wander off course, captured by the pull of Jupiter or Saturn, destined for destruction or exile. The brilliance fades, the silence deepens. But not all comets return quietly. Level 10. The impact. Some comets never escape. Their trajectory carries them not past the planets, but directly into them. When this happens, the result is beyond comprehension. 66 million years ago, one such visitor, possibly a fragment of a larger comet, struck Earth near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact unleashed energy greater than billions of nuclear bombs. The shockwaves scorched the atmosphere, ignited global fires, and blotted out the sun for years. 3/4 of Earth's species perished, including the dinosaurs. A comet's speed at impact can reach 70,000 kilometers per hour. At that velocity, a single kilometer-wide fragment carries the force to vaporize oceans and melt crustal rock. The ground would ripple like water. Winds faster than sound would flatten everything in their path. Entire continents would burn. If you stood anywhere near such an event, you would not survive long enough to see it. The blast would outshine the sun. The air would become fire. Then, darkness, a nuclear winter lasting years. And yet, from this destruction came renewal. After the fires and storms, new life emerged from the ashes. The very catastrophe that ended one era opened the door to another, to mammals, and eventually to us. Comets are not merely messengers of beauty. They are also instruments of transformation. They destroy worlds, and sometimes they deliver the ingredients that help rebuild them. But even that is not their final stage. Level 11. The fading relic. For most comets, the end comes not with violence, but with exhaustion. After dozens, even hundreds of trips around the sun. Their reserves of ice and gas are depleted. No more jets, no more coma, no more tail. The comet becomes indistinguishable from an asteroid, a dark, inert relic drifting endlessly through space. If you approached it now, you would see nothing but silence. A jagged rock, cratered and ancient, spinning slowly in the dark. Its surface is blacker than coal, coated in a crust of dust baked by sunlight over millennia. It reflects almost no light, a ghost against the void. There is still beauty here, though hidden. Each fracture tells the story of its past lives, where it erupted, where it cracked, where the sun once burned through its ice. These scars are its memory, a record of every journey from the edge of the solar system to the furnace of the sun. The comet is dead, but its death is not meaningless. These remnants drift for eons, sometimes colliding with planets, sometimes captured into new orbits, and sometimes broken apart again to form meteor showers. Even as relics, comets continue to shape the cosmos. They are fossils of creation, the oldest materials in existence, older even than Earth's oceans. To touch one would be to touch time itself. Level 12, the Eternal Wanderer. Some comets never return at all. A close encounter with Jupiter or a precise gravitational slingshot can fling them entirely out of the solar system. Once exiled, they drift between the stars, silent, invisible travelers on an infinite voyage. Their journey may last billions of years. They pass from one star's influence to the next, carrying within their cores the frozen chemistry of their birth: water, carbon, organic compounds. They are time capsules of creation, carrying the ingredients of life into the dark between suns. If you could ride one, the sight would steal your breath. The sun would vanish behind you, a pale star among countless others. The Milky Way would curve across the sky like a luminous river. No warmth, no sound. Only the faint hum of radiation from the galaxy beyond. The comet would glide silently, never aging, never slowing. A fragment of our solar system wandering forever. And perhaps someday it will arrive elsewhere, near another star, another world. Its ice will thaw again. Its gases will bloom into a new coma. Its tail will stretch once more. A new civilization somewhere might look up and see it blazing across their sky, never knowing it once came from ours. In this, the comet's final stage is revealed. Not destruction, but endurance. It becomes an eternal messenger, carrying both the seeds of life and the memory of light. From silent birth in the Oort Cloud, to blazing glory near the sun, to death or escape into the stars, a comet is both beauty and terror, creation and ruin. These icy wanderers remind us how delicate existence truly is. They have brought water to barren worlds and fire to thriving ones. They have ended ages and begun them anew. When you see a comet streak across the sky, you are witnessing a billion-year story, the life of a traveler that has crossed the edge of the sun's light and returned to tell it. They are ancient storytellers, riding across the heavens in vapor and light. And in their tale, we glimpse our own, fleeting, fragile, but filled with wonder. In their glow, we see both the peril and the promise of being alive under a sun. Subscribe for more exploration into space.